quick and easy glute workout, only using your bands right at home. This is going to be 3 sets of each exercise, and each exercise around 12 to 15 per leg, or just in total. We're gonna be doing a total of 5. So I'm gonna go through all the tutorial-based stuff first, just so you guys can see it, and then you can do the workout on your own. If you guys like this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment, and we'll get right into it. First exercise is gonna be our banded monster walk. So depending on your level, if you're beginner, intermediate, or advanced, you can use different size bands. The less resistance it is, the easier it's going to be. The thicker it is or more resistance, the harder it's gonna be. So I'm gonna go in the middle and just do a heavy band. With these as well, you can put them in 2 different spots. We can put above the knee, which is gonna be easier, or by the ankle, which is going to be harder. So again, depending on your level. So I'm gonna go right above my little sockies right here. Most important thing when you're doing monster walks or just lateral banded walks is as you step, if you make the step too big, your knees will cave in, and that defeats the purpose of activating our glutes. So a smaller step is better if we can focus on pushing the knees out, as if you're pushing them into like the wall or something next to you. As you lead, you wanna keep that pressure the entire time and try to resist the band coming in on your walk. So you're not just walking quickly, because that's not gonna do anything other than just make you kind of look like a crab. You wanna make sure that you're actually doing everything with intention. So in addition to our knees pushing out, we wanna make sure our pelvis is tilted. So don't have a rounded like grandma butt. You wanna make sure that your core is tight. You're turning or tilting your pelvis, pushing your knees out, and from this stance, you can then step laterally. As you get more tired, if you feel as if your knees are starting to cave in or this is harder to do, you can then adjust the band and move them up throughout the workout. But this is how it's gonna look. Nice slow steps, even, and keeping a good tempo. So you don't wanna go too fast or too slow. I'm working out in my home today, so I'm just gonna basically do the width of my carpet. If you're working out in a gym setting, you can also go a lot longer and do like maybe 10 to 20 steps each side. Next exercise is gonna be a single leg glute bridge. I'm gonna use my couch for a foot elevated one, but if obviously you don't have something to put your foot onto, you can just do it flat on the ground, so I'll show you both. I'm using a lighter band for this one because it is a harder exercise, and I actually have a very weak glute when I do this one. That is another reason. You're gonna lay on your back. You're gonna put your heels on the couch at a 90 degree. Hands can come down, elbows in, or behind your head, whatever you feel more comfortable with being able to control your upper body. I like elbows into the ground so I can force my elbows down and keep a nice neutral spine as I push my hips up. I'm gonna take my right leg and bring it up into like a tabletop position. We're then gonna dip down and then drive up with that leg and squeeze. All the pressure is going through my heel, and it's not gonna go through my toe. So I'm not gonna go flat-footed. I'm gonna keep this foot flexed as I push up and down. Showing you with your right leg just so you can see a little bit better. As I push up, the movement's not coming from my back. I'm not just shooting up. I'm actually activating my glute first, so I'm squeezing my bum. My pelvis will tilt, and then I'm driving up to a nice flat hip, and then coming down. I'm not overly arching my back either, so as I get to the top position, I'm not arching my back or arching it down, because all that's gonna do is just light up your extensors and do nothing for your glutes. So you wanna make sure it all comes from that neutral position. Squeeze your bum, heel driving down, push, squeeze at the top, and then let it lower slowly. If we're doing it on the floor, same thing. The biggest thing here is gonna be your foot position. So you don't want them too close and you don't want them too far. Just about, if you're like sitting down, knees up, press them down, that's about the proper position. We're gonna bring our knee up, same thing, arms down or elbows down, tilting the pelvis, and then pushing straight up with that glute, and then back down. The range of motion is less, which is why this one's a little bit easier versus when your feet are elevated. Third exercise is gonna be donkey kicks as well as glute abductions, aka fire hydrants. Band's gonna be right above our knees. So again, the further up it is, the easier it's gonna be. The closer to our knees, the more resistance. Again, I'm using a light band, but if you're more advanced, you can use a harder band. Going into a tabletop position, we're gonna make sure that our core is nice and tight, and then we don't shift our weight to either side as we pick up one leg. So we wanna make sure we're nice and stabilized. We're gonna bring this knee straight outwards to the side as if you're peeing on a fire hydrant like you're a dog, and then bringing it back in. You want to work a full range of motion, so don't just do little partials. You wanna go all the way in and all the way out. As you bring this leg out, you wanna make sure that you're not dropping your foot or you're not letting your knee cave in, so keeping everything nice and parallel as you go in and out. After we've done these ones, we're then gonna go into our donkey kicks. So you'll now be fully parallel, and you're just gonna bring this foot to the ceiling. Almost think as if you're taking your flat foot and you're printing it on the top of your ceiling in your house or to the sky. As you do this one as well, you wanna make sure that as you get tired, you're not tilting your hips and you're not just doing a smaller range of motion. So making sure you come all the way in and all the way up and squeezing your glute nice and tight at the top of both exercises. Fourth exercise is going to be a sumo squat. So this one's going to be a slightly different setup. So far, we've always put the band around our knees or our ankles. This one is actually going to be wrapped underneath our feet. Now, I'm short, so that's why I can use a heavier resistance band. However, if you're much taller than me, which most people are, you'd have to use a lighter one just to avoid any snappage happening. So here to set it up, you're going to have your feet looped just around the arches, so that way it's nice and stable. You're going to push your feet out as far as you can, knees out as far as you can, keeping your core nice and tight, reaching down to the band. Only the top part, you don't have to lift the bottom. Keeping your shoulders back, you're gonna raise up into your squat and then back down. You're gonna keep tension on your legs the entire time so we're not fully locking out, which is why we can use the short loop bands, and then coming back up. Most important thing here is as you come up, don't let the band force your back into a hollow position. Keep your core nice and strong and your shoulders back so that way you can stay in a nice neutral spine position as you go all the way up and down. At the bottom of the squat, you want to feel a stretch in your glutes. And at the top of the squat, as we push up, we want to squeeze our bum and imagine squeezing our hamstrings as well. As we squeeze, we don't want to squeeze in with our knees. These are still being pushed out. And you want to do everything nice and slow and controlled all the way through the movement. If you're a beginner, if you do it even without holding the band, that's still going to feel a lot of activation through your glutes because you're pushing outwards on the band. So just work with whatever level you're currently at. Fifth exercise is going to be a kickback. Usually people do this on a cable, but if you're at home, you can do these still with a resistance band. So I'm going to use like the edge of my couch as like my hinging point for stability. Your base leg is going to be bent, fully planted. Try to spread your toes for balance. You always want to push this knee outwards to activate your glute, keeping your core tight so you're not rounded or arching your back too much. This leg, we're going to do two different positions. We're going to kick straight back, squeeze your glutes, so that way it's just going straight to the ceiling. We're then also going to turn your foot out, so externally rotate that hip, and then you're going to also kick back out at the same direction and angle. All this does is just targets two different parts of your glutes. So heel going to the ceiling versus the outside of your foot going to your ceiling. As you do this, you can also change tempo. You can hold the top for 1, 2, and then slowly bring it down. Or you can just do them at a regular tempo, focusing on the squeeze all the way through. Main things you want to do is you want to make sure that this leg isn't like kicking as you do it, because that's one, a different exercise, but like two, not really what you're targeting. So you just want to make sure that everything is coming from that glute. So you're squeezing the bum before it even lifts off, and then you're driving it to the ceiling nice and slow. This base leg, you don't want to lock it out either. You want to keep it loaded, so that way you're just passively working this working legs glute. To switch it, you'll just step on the band and then loop it. So this one is stepping on the band, and this one is looped behind my ankle, and that's gonna be how you keep security. If you have it looped around this foot, it's gonna feel like it's almost gonna like slip off. So you wanna just make sure it's stepped and then looped for proper setup for this one. So that is it for today's workout. 5 easy exercises. Band, you can make this as hard or as light as you would like. The harder the resistance, the harder the exercise. The lighter it is, the easier it is. You can always change your bands throughout your sets or your reps as you feel comfortable. For a good workout, I recommend doing 3 sets of 12 to 15 per leg or in total for this workout. If you guys have any questions, make sure to drop them below.